Greetings, sailors, and welcome back to Warships and my very newest Tier 10 acquisition, the Schlieffen. I've finished that Tier 9 grind, the Prince of Ruprecht, which was okay. Tier 8 really was the horrid point of the line, and as you can see, no XP on it, haven't played it at all. I've set it up, stuck some flags on it, and that's about it. Pretty much, and equipment as well. I have remembered to do everything, which occasionally I forget. Occasionally. I do have some other sort of channel-related news in that my replacement headphones arrived. I don't know how many people will have seen, or maybe, you know, the inverse of that, missed the news that I managed to basically break the tip of the 2.5, or was it 3.5? I can't remember. But the headphone jack, basically, the rear panel of my computer. So that jack is now unusable, but fortunately I have a front headphone jack, and my computer is happy to have things plugged into both, or so it thinks, even though there isn't actually anything plugged into the rear one. So yes. So I bought myself a nice new pair of AKG reference open backed headphones, and they were not the cheapest, but yeah, they're really very comfortable. They're actually more comfortable than my previous ones, and hopefully the materials on them will last a bit better as well, because the other ones, the older ones I had, which were also AKGs, had that kind of plastic, you know, the fake leather stuff all over the headband, and it started flaking off after a while, and bits of it would just get everywhere, which is unpleasant. And they were getting a bit, like, I'd had them a good couple of years now, so they were a bit tattered, and I think the drivers on them were a bit I don't know, I've used them a lot, so yeah, using these new ones, it definitely sounds nicer. The other thing that I bought at the same time was a new scissor arm for my microphone, so hopefully this also sounds a bit better. I mean, the positioning of it is going to be such that it sounds a bit better. And for those of you that remember far back enough, I did actually have one previously, a good while ago, that I managed to break, and then never really got around to buying a replacement up until now. So I just had my microphone on a little desk stand, which is why I think there was that issue with it picking up vibrations, which got much more of an issue recently, because some of my case fans have started to deteriorate, and I took out the worst offender, but I think there's one more that needs to be replaced, or possibly lubricated. I don't know, that might work as well. But yeah, there are still yet other things that I could do with buying, so, you know, some spare / replacement case fans. I've got a storage hard drive which has been throwing up some errors, so it's not critical. There's nothing that important on there, but that really could use being replaced at some point. And my mouse is getting also a bit worn at this point. Like the scroll wheel is, the response is not great. Like, it's all right at the moment, but sometimes it gets very hard to use. Not that I use it that much for World of Warships, but I'm much more inclined to use the shift key. But yeah, for other games, having that is really quite useful, and the keypad's a bit gunked up at this point as well on the side. So I think if I get one again, it'll be one that doesn't have a keypad on the side. And there's other things like the actual scroll wheel, like the middle mouse button just doesn't work at all anymore, so I had to reconfigure that function to one of the other buttons on the mouse. So yeah, and it sticks sometimes. I don't know if it's just sort of a accumulation of fluff on the optical sensor. I do give it I've got like a hand puffer thing, and I every so often give it a clean with that, but even so, yeah, I think it's definitely past its prime, this mouse. So yeah, it was like £140 for the arm and the headphones, although something like 15 to 20 quid of that alone was shipping, because hooray for living in the Highlands of Scotland, and companies liking to just charge you an extra arm and a leg for any excuse that they have. It's not like you even get the option of, oh, can you send it Royal Mail for, you know, a cheaper price. No, they will insist on sending it with some courier firm that charges you extra, which, you know, it's one of these things where we've literally had our MPs and MSPs kind of have inquiries into it, and, you know, it's slightly better as a situation than it used to be, but it still happens. It absolutely still happens. Well, I have to remember I do not have the Captain Expert thing. I didn't put that on this. Oh, also I'm firing high explosive, which I didn't mean to be. Yeah, that was not my intention. It just was the fact that I hadn't thought to change the thing. I don't have Concealment Expert on this Captain. And, oh, hello, that's torpedoes from the middle already. That's going to be the Halland. So, yeah, but still 14 kilometres is not bad. It's not bad at all. I think that's nothing to be complained about. It's a 19-point Captain that I've basically gone secondaries on, and I might change that later. But, yeah, I've got 12.5 kilometre secondary range, so that's fun. I don't know if I want to play this any differently than the Prince Ruprecht, really. I mean, that was a bit of a variable experience. Some games were okay, and other games were bloody awkward, to put it mildly. But, yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be the bigger, meaner old brother of the Prince Ruprecht. So, we'll see. I think overall I still prefer the GK and the Preußen to this thing. Oh, hello, that's the Halland. It's within that 12.5 kilometres. Sometimes, I don't know if it's just like the response time of like your secondary guns turning or whatever. Oh, there's more Halland tops. But yeah. It's sometimes they'll be within range and they don't really kind of wake up in time. We don't have, like, our Sherman is not in a good state. We kind of don't have much in the way of protection on our flank there. So yeah, I should have had a hydro going, not that it probably would have helped me that much with the fast moving Halland torps. Also, the Nakhimov is going to be annoying because Nakhimov. Right, Gorozhevoy, not looking happy. I've actually got another Forest Sherman. Wow, there's a lot of Forest Shermans. Although I think a lot of the like the coal/steel things reset, didn't they? So the coupons in the armory. So I'm sure a lot of people have bought their Forest Shermans on the back of that. Right, I think I'm not going to last here very long. I came over here thinking, oh, I've got allies, but no, the enemies are pushing in pretty hard. And I'm getting focused here pretty hard, so... yeah, Schlieffen is, you know, definitely not as tanky as the GK, so... Maybe I should have angled to a further back position. That was my bad, but I don't know if I'd have lasted that long. Even so, I'll get some torpedoes out there at least. I don't think I'm going to... No, that was, I think, right through the nose. Right. Might get some torpedo damage into the Ohio, but otherwise we're going to have to skip forward a bit. So that wasn't a great first showing. Only 22k damage. Yeah, these look like we might even get the kill on this Ohio. So I can at least get a, you know, that thing. Oh no, I didn't get the kill. Someone else will though, surely. Or is it my flooding that will do it? No, it's the Montana secondaries. Okay, that was almost the oh, what's it called? Is it Eye for an Eye? I can't remember, but you know, the one where you kill the person that killed you when you're dead, or you get a kill once you're dead. Anyway, yeah, let's skip ahead a bit, and we'll see if I can do better next time. We'll also jump back in if anything particularly interesting happens in this match. I mean, so far, these ships over here, we are getting a bit outmatched. That Ohio pushing forwards, I mean, even if I hadn't managed to get them with the torpedoes, they probably would have sunk anyway. So, you know, that was obviously not good news for me. 18-inch guns coming my way. This other flank is looking, you know, the inverse, essentially. So, yeah, I think there's a chance we could win this. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Well, you can see how this went. Our Shikishima is probably going to top out the team with 4, but yeah, they didn't lose a single destroyer. I think it was really their destroyers that won them this, and they were able to quite comfortably get map control after all ours died. Our carrier really wasn't doing anything in terms of trying to spot or tackle the enemy destroyers. So, yeah, this has ended up actually being that it looked kind of like there was at least a chance we might get it, but yeah, I mean, also, clearly we definitely had the worst destroyers, but also, I guess part of it is that also most of ours were gunboat destroyers. In fact, they were all gunboat destroyers. You know, Sherman does have torps, but really awkward position torps. I don't even know if Ragnar does have torps. Whereas they had the Shima, Halland, Summers, and a Forest Sherman of their own. So partly, I think this was also the matchmaking. Generally speaking, gunboat destroyers are less stealthy than their counterparts. So if you've got a carrier that's not trying to spot versus, and plus on top of that, you've got one team having a bunch of stealthy destroyers and the other team not having stealthy destroyers, that doesn't really help. So yeah, the carrier absolutely could have helped to counterbalance what the matchmaking handed us, but they didn't. So yeah, that ended up being a fairly comfortable towards the end there. I mean, it was up in the air for the first part, but then it really started to slide away from us very hard. So yeah, Montana, Shikishima, Horsham's third, Ragnar. I didn't do very well. So yeah, you know, their players were obviously taking advantage of the situation as well. Like 3 of their top 4 were destroyer players. So yeah, it was actually the Shima was kind of least consequential, but they were still able to put out those area denying walls of torpedoes. So that obviously does have an effect. So yeah, partly I think that was the matchmaking, but also partly they had the more effective destroyers and just more effective players generally. Right. Oh, double submarines, double subs. Yay, double subs. Okay. Oh, double subs. That's going to be fun. Okay. Well, let's see how we do. 3 battleships per team. And only 3 cruisers per team as well, so this is where those submarines on the list are really squeezing out, like 2 subs plus 4 destroyers like that. That feels excessive, I'm going to be honest, that really does feel excessive. And I know Wargaming has said that they are not going to limit subs to 1 per team, but matchmaking like this is why, you know, either they need to be limited to 1 per team, or, you know, there needs to be like extra slots for submarines. There needs to be something, you know, it's just one more reason on the roster of reasons why submarines just do not fit in the game very well. They're not healthy in random battles at all. And Wargaming just keeps trying to hammer in that peg, and the fact that we're now getting, you know, we've got that 450 whatever it is being tested for tier 10, and that they've announced a Japanese, what looks very much like a tier 8 Japanese premium. I mean, the tier 10 might be, you know, Research Bureau or coal or steel or something like that, but yeah, the tier 8 looks like it's going to be a full straight up, you know, buy for money premium without any other way to get it. So yeah, it's kind of increasingly looking like subs are here to stay, and for all the good things Wargaming's done over the past year to try and recover their reputation a bit from all the stuff that happened around the CC walkout, submarines still remain a really great stain on things in terms of, you know, actually listening to the community and caring about the health of the game overall and etc, etc. And it's kind of worrying when you've got something that's just clearly not fitting by the estimation of most people, you know, and not just for knee-jerk reaction reasons. Plenty of people have given plenty of thought-out critique at this point as to why submarines are not good for the game overall, and Wargame's just kind of ploughing on regardless. So, yeah, we'll see. It's one of those things. It's like I'm not going to say, oh, I'm definitely going to walk away from the game if you know. But it makes me less inclined to play the game overall. So, yeah, we'll see. There's still an element of wait and see with subs. But it's definitely it's a sour note. It's definitely a sour note. Right, that is, I don't even know. That might be one of the subs. It's either the subs or a single. No, it won't be the Shima. So yeah, that'll be one of the subs. The Shima's on the other flank. Right, you're almost in range. It's interesting playing with the new headphones as well, because I've only ever had closed-backed headphones up until this point. Like, I've literally never used open-backed headphones before. I mean, the previous ones were basically studio headphones, and they were a bit cheaper than these ones. They were in the sort of £50 range, whereas these ones are more like where's the Yang? These ones are more like what were they, like 88 quid, and at that they were B stock, so they were kind of I'm going to take these, aren't I? I mean, I could use one of my limited damage control parties to clear the thing, but it's like, it's just kind of not worth it for one, not on this ship. So yeah, I mean, like quality wise, I think they're not, like, they're a bit clearer, but it definitely makes a difference in terms of how they sound and like how much I can hear otherwise going on in the room around me. But this, by the way, I mean this right here, limited DCPs versus subs, like this makes me not want to play either these or Russian battleships at all. And it's not like I play lots and lots of the Russian battleships, and I've mostly been playing these to grind through to the tier 10, but the presence of submarines makes these just like, why would you? Why would you? Why would you want to do that when your one and only defense against homing torpedoes, your only proactive defense, aside from doing your best to dodge, which isn't always going to be possible, is to use damage control party. And if you have a very limited number of those, then yeah, you can just kind of get stuffed, I suppose. Right, we're gonna... It seems a bit of a waste of a limited number of hydros, but yeah. Just so we know, there are submarines around the place. So you're Yang in the cap as well. I'm already at half health, which is not so great. I mean, only a bit of that was sub damage, but yeah. Right, it'd be nice if that Preußen would go down. So let's get a heal going. Can we maybe get the front guns to clear that? Yeah, there we go. Oh, those all managed to miss. Oh well. That's the Elbing. Elbing is also here. Okay. Right, that's just at the cusp of my range. I could have taken the extra range, because that's what I did on the tier 9, is I took the extra range, so I've actually got a better range on the tier 9 than I do on the tier 10, but this is just shy of 20 kilometers, so I decided to stick on the the secondary firing module, which gives you the extra secondary rate of fire. I can't, like, this is one of the issues I have with the line generally, and this is more of a play stealth thing, is that like it really limits how aggressive you can be. You can build them for secondaries, you've got hydro, and you know, in theory that's a good combo for me on to push in and do things, but of course, you know, the rest of the ship really doesn't support that, so it becomes very, very situational as to when you can actually make use of those tools. Occasionally you can, and it can be pretty effective, but it's never really going to be quite as effective as it is going to be in one of the regular German battleships. We are losing a fair number of ships. Right, I've got one of their subs down. Still the Elbing and the Yueyang are in the place. Yueyang putting torps over that way, so I'm guessing they're... Is Yueyang over there, maybe? Don't think I want to get into the cap, but it'd be nice if I can support this druid that's trying to cap. Right, and still Montana south of the cap that's reasonably healthy too. Yeah, I think we talked about this a bit on the most recent podcast as well. There was a bit of a dichotomy with the fact that if you want to have a strong secondary focus to your battleships, you can do that, but it comes at the cost of having this kind of survivability that you need as well. So I don't know. I think there's still. Well, I almost hope we get another captain overhaul at some point, to be honest, because I think you should be able to kind of viably say, like have combined skills. So you go for secondary skills that include some kind of survivability element to it, as opposed to what we have at the moment, which is kind of you can make your ship more fragile for the purpose of brawling, which doesn't make any sense. Why would you make your ship less survivable in order to brawl better? Or you can make it more survivable at the expense of, improving its brawling capability. So it doesn't... I don't know, it's weird. I mean, to be fair, they did have a go at, adding a 4-point skill that sort of made it easier a bit to sit back and snipe, although it was more the psychological effect on players that was damaging than anything else. But again, it was done in a very kind of like it wasn't, hey, this is at the expense of your kind of overall survivability. You're going to have, it's not like, hey, you get this, but it comes at the cost of like 10% of your hit points or anything like that. No. Am I going to take some of these? I'm trying to slow down in time, but I don't think I did. Get the front ones in there at least. Oh, I'm going to take 2 of those. That's going to be nasty. Right, there is also a Yueyang there. Not a Yueyang, submarine. So let's drop both those on there. Yeah, so I think just generally captain skills could be just nice. There we go. They could be so much more intelligently done and interestingly done, and instead they just kind of rejigged the existing thing. I mean, to bring in a game I've mentioned, there we go. I mean, I've mentioned in the past in regard to, skill trees and stuff is Payday 2. There was actually a fairly substantial update recently to Payday 2 in that it used to be, they operated on a prestige system, so you would have to kind of reset your skills every time in order to rank up, and there wasn't really any point doing that past rank 5 in terms of it bringing a direct benefit to you as a player. After that, it was basically all cosmetic stuff and, essentially a bigger number after your name. But what they've now done is they've implemented a system where you either have the choice of still doing it the old way, where you just wipe all of your skill trees and all that, and actually, you can then progress back through faster, or you can take a slower path where you don't have to reset your skill trees, but you can still rank up at like 50 or 60% of the speed of doing it the other way. So even after all these years, they're going back to it and thinking, okay, how can we make this system a bit better for our players? And it was kind of a lot of the captain skill stuff was just kind of rearranging the furniture. Like the very best part that came out of it was splitting up the skill points into the different classes of ship. So we kind of got more of the same, rearranging the furniture, but at least it was split up differently, and it really did give a benefit to putting captains in premium ships in particular, or even like research ships and whatever, ships that you can swap your captains between. But I mean, it could still be a heck of a lot better. It's still one of those areas of the game that certainly could be improved a lot. And hell, another game I've been playing recently, I finally got round to playing the first Borderlands game, because I got Borderlands 3 ages back with it would have been the graphics card, mate, the 7500 XT or whatever it is that I've got in my computer. I'm pretty sure that came with a code for it. It was like Borderlands 3 or Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Borderlands or whatever the hell that game's called, and that was a very easy choice as to which one to redeem. So yeah, and then subsequently Borderlands 1 and 2 has been given away as a thing in the Epic Store. So I've been playing through. I've played through Borderlands 3. I've been playing through Borderlands 1, and those let you just respec your player skills at literally any point. And hell, they did the exact same thing with Cyberpunk 2077, where right from the start you could, but there was a fairly steep cost to it, and then they drastically reduced that cost so you could much more easily just play around with different builds and things. And the fact that, I mean, these days it's not necessarily, like if you grind enough Commander XP, or you can even use your free XP, you don't necessarily have to use your doubloons. And I think that's fair enough, having that kind of system. I don't know if you can you even do that in World of Tanks? I don't think you can use your free XP to respec your tank crews, or maybe you can. I don't know. I've not looked into that. Like, is it the last time I respect anything, any kind of crews in World of Tanks was probably a very long time ago at this point. But yeah, it would be. It just would be nice if we had a lot more flexibility in the way they do crew skills. And I just think that could be so much more improved. So yeah. Anyway, this wasn't even really about the Schlieffen. I just got completely sidetracked into grumping about submarines and then saying how captain skills could be better. So yeah, I got a little bit off track there, but never mind. Yeah, win or loss, that's fine. I'll take it, I guess. Like I was saying, I don't really have an incentive to play these now that I've ground through the line. Just the presence of submarines and the way submarines work mechanically at the moment, and the homing torps and all that. Yeah, I absolutely have no incentive to play any ship that has a limited DCP. This just I just don't want to. It just the fact that I might meet a submarine just makes me not want to at all. It's just not worth it for me. Just not worth the frustration. Anyway, so hopefully, I mean, I'm curious to see what this sounds like in the editing and in the final YouTube thing. So yeah, hopefully it will sound good to you guys too. There won't be any more background humming, because this is not the microphone is now not attached to my desk at all. It's now on an arm that's attached to actually the fireplace next to my desk, and the headphones. It's jolly nice to, like, this is not going to affect you guys, but it's jolly nice to have proper headphones back on my head and not be trying to do things with earbuds which are not particularly comfortable to wear for really long periods of time. And it was also a shorter cable, so they kept getting snagged on things as well. So yeah. Anyway, that's enough rambling. This has been a very rambly video, but that's just how my brain goes sometimes. So yeah, hopefully you have enjoyed this, and if you have, you can do all the usual things down underneath it. And of course, as always, stay tuned for more.